What happens when one of comedy's most fearless voices walks into morning television and refuses to play by the rules? In just 37 seconds, a single comment from a host would ignite the most explosive moment in Good Morning America history, turning a routine interview into a full-scale meltdown that nobody saw coming. The studio lights were bright that morning. Dave Chappelle sat on the famous couch, relaxed in his chair, ready to talk about his latest comedy special. Across from him sat Sam Champion, the weather anchor who had been given the interview slot. Next to Champion were Robin Roberts and George Stephanopoulos, both watching as the segment began. Champion leaned forward with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "So Dave, welcome back to television. Must be nice to finally have a platform again." Dave's eyebrows raised slightly. "Finally? I've been selling out arenas for years, Sam. I think I've had a platform." The studio audience gave a light chuckle, but Champion's smile tightened. "Right, but this is national television. This is where real conversations happen, not just in front of people who already agree with you." Robin Roberts shifted uncomfortably in her seat, glancing at George, who kept his expression neutral, but his eyes were alert. Dave tilted his head. "Real conversations? You mean the kind where you get to control the narrative?" Champion laughed, but it sounded forced. "Control? No. We just like to keep things, appropriate. Family-friendly. Something your comedy hasn't always been known for." "Appropriate according to who?" Dave asked calmly. "According to the millions of mothers who watch this show with their children," Champion said, his voice taking on a sharper edge. "According to people who want to start their day with something uplifting, not divisive." George Stephanopoulos cleared his throat. "Sam, maybe we should talk about the special itself." But Champion wasn't done. "I'm just saying, Dave, there's a responsibility that comes with having a voice. And some of the things you've said, some of the jokes you've made, they hurt people. Don't you think you owe it to your audience to be more careful?" Dave leaned back, his expression still calm, but his eyes sharp. "Careful? Comedy isn't about being careful, Sam. It's about truth. Sometimes truth makes people uncomfortable." "Truth?" Champion scoffed, and now his mask was slipping. "You call making fun of vulnerable communities truth? You call punching down humor?" Robin Roberts cut in quickly. "I think what Sam is trying to say is that comedy has evolved, and audiences expect different things now." Dave looked at Robin, nodding slightly. "I respect that, Robin, but I don't punch down. I punch everywhere. Equal opportunity. That's the whole point." Champion shook his head, clearly frustrated. "That's just an excuse. You hide behind this idea of equal opportunity, but some groups have more power than others. That. When you make certain jokes, you're contributing to systems of oppression." The audience had gone quiet now. Even the crew members were frozen, sensing the shift in energy. Dave's voice remained steady. "Systems of oppression? Sam, I grew up in a time and place where I understood oppression firsthand. Don't lecture me about it." "So that gives you a free pass?" Champion shot back. "You think your experiences mean you can say whatever you want about anyone?" George tried again. "Maybe we should take a break and come back to this." But Champion ignored him. "No, I think this is important. Dave comes on our show, on our platform, and we deserve answers. The LGBTQ community, for instance, they've been very vocal about feeling targeted by your material. Don't you think you owe them an apology?" Dave's jaw tightened, just slightly. "I don't owe anybody an apology for doing comedy. If someone's feelings are hurt, I'm sorry they feel that way, but I'm not apologizing for the work." "Not apologizing?" Champion's voice rose. "So you just don't care? Is that it? You don't care who you hurt as long as you get your laugh?" "That's not what I said," Dave replied, his voice still controlled, but firmer now. Champion pressed on, leaning forward aggressively. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've built your comeback on attacking people who can't defend themselves. It looks like you've decided that being edgy is more important than being decent. Robin Roberts put her hand on Champion's arm. Sam, let's bring it down a notch. Champion pulled his arm away. No, Robin. Someone needs to say this. We've been tiptoeing around it for years. Dave Chappelle thinks he's untouchable. He thinks because he walked away from $50 million once, he's some kind of prophet. But really, you're just a comedian who can't accept that the world has moved on without you. The studio went dead silent. Dave stared at Champion for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was quiet but clear. You know what, Sam? I came here thinking we were going to have a conversation. But you didn't invite me here for a conversation. You invited me here so you could lecture me. So you could grandstand for your audience and show them how righteous you are. That's not true, Champion protested. It is true, Dave continued, standing up slowly. You don't care about a dialogue. You care about being right. You care about your image. Everything you just said, it wasn't about the comedy or the issues. It was about you feeling superior. Champion stood up too, his face flushing red. I feel superior? You're the one who acts like your opinion is the only one that matters. You're the one who dismisses everyone who disagrees with you as being too sensitive. I don't dismiss people for disagreeing, Dave said. I dismiss people for being dishonest. And you've been dishonest from the second I sat down. George Stephanopoulos finally stood, stepping between them. Gentlemen, please, let's take a breath here. But Champion stepped around George, pointing his finger at Dave. Dishonest? I'm being dishonest? You're the one who claims to speak truth to power, while you mock the powerless. Dave's voice cut through the tension like a knife. Who are you calling powerless, Sam? You're sitting on a national morning show with millions of viewers, telling me what I can and cannot say. You're on ABC. You've got the full weight of corporate media behind you. And you're calling yourself powerless? That's rich. Champion's face went from red to almost purple. I'm talking about the communities you target. The trans community. The gay community. People who are fighting for their lives every day. And I'm not fighting? Dave asked, his voice rising for the first time. I'm not fighting when I talk about police brutality? When I talk about racism? When I talk about poverty? Or does that not count because it doesn't fit your narrative? That's different, Champion stammered. How is it different? Dave demanded. Because you said so? Because you get to decide which issues matter and which don't. Robin Roberts stood now too, her voice firm. Okay, we need to stop this right now. This is not productive. Champion whirled on her. Stay out of this, Robin. This is between me and him. Robin's eyes widened. Excuse me? Sam, you need to check yourself. Champion ignored her, turning back to Dave. You think you're so smart. You think you're so above it all. But you're just scared. You're scared that comedy is evolving past you. You're scared that your type of humor doesn't work anymore. So you double down and you call it courage. Dave shook his head slowly. I'm not scared of evolution, Sam. I'm scared of conformity disguised as progress. I'm scared of people like you who think they have the moral authority to tell artists what they can create. That's what scares me. Then maybe you shouldn't be creating, Champion snapped. Maybe if your art requires hurting people, you should find a new profession. The gasps from the audience were audible now. Dave laughed, but there was no humor in it. There it is. The truth finally comes out. You don't want me to change. You don't want me to grow. You want me gone. You want me silenced. I want you to be responsible, Champion said through gritted teeth. No, Dave said firmly. You want me to be obedient. There's a difference. George Stephanopoulos stepped forward again, his voice sharp. Sam, that's enough. Dave, please sit down. We can work this out. But Champion wasn't finished. He took another step toward Dave, his finger jabbing the air. You know what your problem is? You can't handle criticism. You dish it out, but you can't take it. The moment someone challenges you, you cry victim. You're a hypocrite. Dave's laugh was sudden and genuine this time. Me? A hypocrite? Sam, you've spent the last 10 minutes attacking me personally while accusing me of attacking others. You've tried to humiliate me on live television while claiming to defend the vulnerable. If anyone's a hypocrite here, look in the mirror. Champion's hands were shaking now. Get out. Get out of this studio. Robin Roberts stepped between them. Sam, you can't just kick a guest off the show. That's not your call. I'm making it my call, Champion said, his voice shaking with rage. This is my segment. He's disrespecting me. He's disrespecting this show, and he's disrespecting our audience. Dave reached down and calmly removed his microphone. Don't worry, Sam. I'm leaving. But not because you told me to. I'm leaving because I don't waste my time with people who are more interested in performing morality than actually being moral. Performing? Champion shouted. You're calling me a performer? That's all you do. You perform. You prance around on stage, saying whatever offensive thing pops into your head, and you call it art. Dave clipped the microphone to the chair and straightened his jacket. The difference between us, Sam, is I know I'm performing. You think you're righteous. That makes you dangerous. Champion moved toward Dave again, but George physically held him back. Sam, stop. This is on live television. Stop. But Champion pushed against George's restraint. Let him go. Let everyone see him run away. Just like he ran away from his show. Just like he runs away from every real challenge. Dave paused at the edge of the set, turning back to face Champion one last time. I didn't run from my show, Sam. I walked away because I refused to be controlled. I walked away because I had principles. You should try it sometime. Might do you some good. Principles? Champion screamed, breaking free from George. You don't have principles. You have ego. Massive, unchecked ego. You think being controversial makes you important. Robin Roberts grabbed Champion's other arm, her voice urgent. Sam, security is coming. You need to calm down now. Dave looked at all of them, his expression sad, more than angry now. You know what the tragedy is? We could have had a real conversation. We could have disagreed respectfully, but you couldn't help yourself. You had to make it personal. You had to win. Get out, Champion roared, spit flying from his mouth. Get out before I throw you out myself. George's voice was steel. Sam, you're done. Off the set. Now. But Champion shook them both off, advancing on Dave again. You're a relic. A dinosaur. Your time is over, and you know it. That's why you're so bitter. Dave didn't move, didn't flinch. He simply looked at Champion with something like pity. I'm not bitter, Sam. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that this is what journalism has become. I'm disappointed that you think ambushing guests makes you brave. 2 security guards appeared from the wings, moving quickly toward Champion. Champion saw them and laughed wildly. Are you kidding me? I'm the host. He's the one who should be removed. Robin Roberts spoke quietly but firmly. Sam, you've been out of line from the start. Dave's right. This was an ambush. Oh, so you're taking his side now? Champion spun on Robin. After everything he's said? After all the harm he's caused? I'm not taking sides, Robin said, her voice weary. I'm trying to salvage what's left of this disaster. Dave walked toward the studio exit, the camera following him. The audience sat in stunned silence, nobody knowing whether to applaud or stay quiet. Champion called after him. That's right. Walk away. That's all you know how to do. Walk away when things get tough. Dave stopped one more time, not turning around. Things aren't tough, Sam. Things are just sad. Goodbye. As Dave disappeared through the exit, Champion turned to the cameras, breathing hard, his hair disheveled, his tie crooked. Well, there you have it, America. The real Dave Chappelle. Can't handle being held accountable. George Stephanopoulos stepped directly in front of Champion, blocking him from the camera. We're going to commercial. Right now. No, Champion tried to push past him. I'm not done. I need to explain to our viewers what just happened. Robin Roberts pulled the plug on Champion's microphone. You're done, Sam. Security, please escort Mr. Champion to his dressing room. Champion's eyes went wide with shock and betrayal. You can't be serious. I was defending our values. I was standing up for what's right. The security guards, gently but firmly, took Champion by the arms. Let go of me, Champion struggled weakly. This is my show. This is my segment. You can't do this. George's voice was cold. You made this choice when you decided to ambush a guest. You made this choice when you let your personal agenda override your professionalism. As the security guards led Champion away, he looked back at Robin and George, his face a mixture of confusion and anger. I was right, though. You know I was right. He needed to be confronted. Robin shook her head slowly. There's a difference between confrontation and humiliation, Sam. You crossed a line. Champion was still protesting as they took him off the set, his voice fading. Someone had to say it. Someone had to stand up to him. Why don't you understand that? The studio fell into an eerie quiet. Audience members looked at each other, uncertain. Crew members stood frozen, cameras still rolling, but nobody sure what to film. George turned to the main camera, his face grave. We apologize to our viewers for what just transpired. This is not the standard of journalism we uphold at Good Morning America. Robin nodded, her voice shaky. We'll be right back after these messages. As the show cut to commercial, the full weight of what had happened settled over everyone. The control room was chaos. Producers shouted into headsets. Network executives were already being called. In the hallway outside the studio, Dave Chappelle walked calmly toward the exit, his security team surrounding him. His expression was unreadable. He didn't look angry or upset. He looked like a man who had seen exactly what he expected to see and was unsurprised by any of it. Behind him, the muffled sounds of Champion, still arguing with security, echoed through the corridors. A production assistant approached Dave nervously. Mr. Chappelle, I'm so sorry about what happened in there. That was completely unprofessional. Dave gave her a small smile. It's not your fault. These things happen when people forget what they're supposed to be doing. Is there anything we can do? She asked. Dave shook his head. Just make sure somebody checks on Sam. He's going to need it. The assistant looked confused. After what he did to you, you're worried about him? He's a human being having a breakdown on national television, Dave said quietly. Yeah, I'm worried about him. I don't hate the guy. I just disagree with his methods. As Dave pushed through the exit doors into the bright morning sun, cameras from paparazzi and news crews were already gathering, having been tipped off about the confrontation. They shouted questions at him. Dave, what happened in there? Did Sam Champion really kick you off the show? Are you going to press charges? Will you respond to his accusations? Dave's security team cleared a path to his waiting car. He paused just before getting in, turning to face the cameras. All I'll say is this, Dave spoke clearly. We live in a time where people think attacking someone makes them righteous, where they think destroying someone makes them heroic. I hope we can get back to a place where we disagree without trying to destroy each other. That's all I've got. He climbed into the car and it pulled away, leaving the crowd of reporters shouting after him. Back inside the studio, Champion sat in his dressing room, his head in his hands. Robin Roberts stood in the doorway, watching him. I was right, he said without looking up. You know I was right, Robin. Robin sighed. Maybe you had some valid points, Sam, but the way you went about it, that wasn't right. That wasn't journalism. Champion looked up, his eyes red. Then what was it? It was personal, Robin said softly. It was anger. It was you deciding that your feelings about Dave Chappelle were more important than the integrity of this show. He's hurt people, Champion insisted. He's caused real harm with his words. Maybe, Robin acknowledged. But so did you today. You hurt him. You hurt this show. You hurt our credibility. And for what? To feel like you won an argument? Champion stood up, pacing the small room. Someone had to hold him accountable. Accountable? Robin's voice hardened. Or humiliated? Because from where I stood, you weren't trying to have a conversation. You were trying to tear him down. Champion stopped pacing. He deserved it. No one deserves to be ambushed on live television, Robin said firmly. No one deserves to be attacked like that, no matter what you think of their work. The room fell silent. Champion sat back down heavily. What happens now? He asked quietly. Robin shook her head. I don't know, Sam, but I suspect the network is going to have some serious conversations with you. George Stephanopoulos appeared behind Robin. The commercial break is almost over. Robin, we need to get back out there and finish the show. Robin nodded, taking one last look at Champion before leaving. George lingered for a moment. For what it's worth, Sam, I think you let your emotions get the better of you. We all have guests we disagree with, but we have to maintain professionalism. He was laughing at us, Champion said bitterly. At me. Did you see the way he looked at me? He looked at you the way anyone would look at someone attacking them, George replied, with disappointment. Not anger? Champion asked. No, George said. That's, what made it worse. He wasn't angry. He was just sad. And that says a lot. George left, and Champion was alone with his thoughts. On the monitor in his dressing room, he could see Robin and George back on set, smoothly transitioning to the next segment as if nothing had happened, as if the last 20 minutes hadn't just destroyed whatever credibility he'd built over his career. He reached for his phone and saw it was already blowing up. Text messages, missed calls, social media notifications. He didn't need to read them to know what they said. He'd seen the whole thing happen. He knew how it looked, but he still couldn't shake the feeling that he'd been right, that Dave Chappelle needed to be challenged, that someone needed to speak up. The problem was, nobody was talking about Dave Chappelle's comedy anymore. They were talking about Sam Champion's meltdown. They were talking about the host who lost control, the host who let his personal feelings override his professional judgment. He'd wanted to hold Dave accountable, but in the process, he'd only made himself look small. On the set, Robin and George continued with the show, their practiced professionalism covering the cracks. But everyone watching could feel the tension underneath, could sense that something fundamental had broken. The show went on, because the show always goes on. But nothing was quite the same. The audience sat quieter. The energy was off. The magic of live television had turned into something darker, something uncomfortable. In green rooms across the country, other talk show hosts watched replays of the confrontation, shaking their heads, making notes about what not to do. Booking agents started making calls, warning their clients to be careful, to watch out for ambush interviews disguised as friendly conversations. And somewhere, Dave Chappelle sat in his car, looking out the window at the city passing by, probably thinking about his next show, his next joke, his next truth to tell, unbowed, unbroken, exactly as he'd always been.